Hello students and welcome to the heating and cooling curve lab. In this lab what you are going to be doing is tracing out the heating and cooling curves of a particular substance, and then you guys are going to go ahead and graph that substance out. And in general, this is a way to just go ahead and verify that heating and cooling curves exist, and this will show you how to do those types of measurements. Now, for this experiment, what you are going to need is you are going to need not one, but two thermometers. Okay, so as you can see here, I have a special thermometer that's attached to a special device. And those of you in class are going to be able to use this device so that you can record specifically your different temperatures as the time proceeds. And then you're going to need a second thermometer, which is going to be in the water, and this is really just to try and make sure that you keep the water at a nice 80 degrees. Okay, you don't want the water any hotter than 80 degrees because bad things will happen if it's hotter than 80 degrees. So what we are going to do is we're going to go ahead and take a compound that is called lauric acid. Okay, and lauric acid, you guys are probably slightly familiar with one of the compounds that has a lot of it in it, which is coconut milk. So coconut milk has a lot of lauric acid in it. And what's special is that it doesn't take a lot of heat to melt it completely. Okay? It has a melting point of about 76 degrees or something. So it won't take a lot of heat to melt it completely. What you will notice is that it melts fairly easy, and we'll be able to watch it solidify in real time. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to try and reset up our station here so that you guys can go ahead and see it here. This is using my phone, so we're hoping that we don't accidentally destroy it because, let's face it, you can't buy too many phones on a teacher's salary. Okay. Okay. So, what we're going to go ahead and do is, as you guys saw from earlier, we have the test tube in there, and that test tube has our lauric acid. Okay? Our first step is always going to be to melt the lauric acid, and that's really so that we can get the thermometer in there so that we can measure the temperature. This device right here is going to help us measure the temperature. Okay? As you can see here, it has a nice little data selection, and it tells us what the temperature is right now. And right now it has it set at 79.2, so it's a little bit warm, but that's exactly what we want. So our starting measurement that we're going to go ahead and put is going to be 79.2. After we start the measurement, and I'm going to end up giving you guys some data here, you'll end up finding that we're going to get a whole set of time and temperature data. At this point, I'm going to set it up so that it measures the temperature every 10 seconds. Okay, for those of you that are here in the lab and watching this ahead of time, you'll go ahead and hit here, and instead of 10 of 2, you'll hit 10. And what that's going to do is that's going to change it to 10 seconds. Then you'll hit the OK button. And then once we take this out, we are going to be able to record the temperature as it goes forward. So 1 second here. And notice that we have this in here. Let's go ahead and tilt this down. Now, as this is cooling, what's going to happen is that you're going to go ahead and keep moving the thermometer in here so that the thermometer does not get stuck too early. And the thermometer is still recording the temperature. Now, at this point, we have a liquid that is cooling. So you should go ahead and think, okay, in our heating and cooling curve, what part of the graph would that be like? Okay, is this going to be a flat part or is it going to be a diagonal part? Okay. And this just keeps going and going and going. While this is going, you want to make sure also to check your water. Remember, your goal is to keep your water right at 70 degrees. Okay? Okay. Right now it's still cooling. It's just hitting 70 degrees, it looks like. So I guess the melting point isn't 70 degrees. Let us see, let us see. Okay. Okay, our device is slowly starting to go down. So you guys can see here it started at about 80 and it's continuing to go down. So we have a diagonal line forming here. Diagonal line is forming. Again, it may look like it's flat, but you can see from the chart that it is a diagonal line. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and pull this up so that you guys can see. At the very bottom, you should see that we're starting to get some solid start to form here, okay? So some solid is starting to form here on the bottom. And as we continue to stir it, it's going to flow up and it'll continue to grow here. Okay. And as we continue, it's going to get harder and harder to move this around, but we're still going to be collecting data on it. As long as our data collection tool does not, freeze out, which ours might. Okay. Now, what I'm starting to notice here as I pull this up is see how this line right here has stopped going down, it's flattened. Okay? This flattening that's happening right here, notice that all of these are together. That's because these are all the same measurement. Okay? What's happening is that that same measurement is occurring because it's all the entire thing is staying the same temperature as it moves along. Okay, so the phase change is happening and the temperature is changing. Or the temperature is not changing because there is a phase change happening. Okay, now we pull it back up. Okay, minor disaster. Minor disaster. All right, and not the worst. We survived. Okay. Notice that at this point, it's getting to the point we can hardly even move the thing around. And that's okay. That's okay. That's what it's supposed to do. Okay. And our temperature is still staying relatively calm and the same here. Okay, and then we're just waiting for it. It's starting to slow down even more now. And we're going to go ahead and wait for it until it cools down, till it's about 30 degrees. Okay, so our plan is to wait for it to cool down to 30 degrees. Take a little bit of time there. Okay. And now we're going to go ahead and pretend as if it has already reached 30 degrees. Okay? So, at this point, we're going to go ahead and remove it from this container here, and we're going to go ahead and start heating it now. Okay? And we're going to heat it, and it's going to end up doing the exact same thing but in reverse. And when it does this, what's going to happen is it's going to show the heating curve now. So in this case, our curve will actually end up going up. Okay? So our curve will end up going up for this one here. All right? When we do this, it'll end up heating very slowly. And when it heats slowly, we can then go ahead and see, all right, we've given it a normal amount of temperature here. We've given it a constant amount, and the temperature does not increase at a certain spot. That means that the melting point is at that spot. Okay. At this point, this is going to go ahead and close this down for this lab here. And you should be able to use the data that is going to be provided for you in the lab report in order to finish your lab. Okay. I hope you all have a wonderful and nice day.